This is Tim.
And Mulele.
And this is Critiquing Comics. Welcome to Critiquing Comics. This is Tim with Mulele in a rented room in Kichijoji, Tokyo. And we've got some paper comics this time to talk about. Most of this is stuff that our friend Jorge Munoz sent to Mulele. I guess you just missed the chance to meet up in person in New York.
Yeah, unfortunately. But, my girlfriend and my mother are both saying that they want to go to Mexico sometime in the near future. So if I can get down there, I'll be visiting him then.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's see. We've got 5 different things here from him. A couple of them are things that we have talked about to some extent on the podcast before. Well, we talked about Longdog.
Yeah.
And this paper copy maybe includes a bit more. I think maybe page 49 was where our review ended last time. And there's one more chapter here. But I don't know that I really have anything to add to what I said about Longdog at the time.
I guess what I would have to add to this is kind of the printing process. It's a lot rougher than the digital copy that we looked at, in that it seems to be some kind of riso print, maybe. I'm not sure if it's exactly a riso printer, but it's the same system. There are some elements where some parts where the color is a little bit misaligned from the ink, and that's from the black ink, and that's often a product of riso as well. It's quite charming, and it adds to the roughness of the comic.
Yeah, it's on kind of a thick, pulpy paper.
Yeah, the thick, pulpy paper also is kind of interesting. Actually, I quite like the orange and black combination, and I'm sure I'm going to steal it for one of my own comics one day. But it was quite well done.
Now, in contrast, this other book that I had not seen before, Quin, Reyes, and How, H-A-O, Delivery, which is a square, full-color comic, just like maybe 5 inches by 5 inches or something. And this is one that is written by Josh Candia T. and drawn by Jorge.
Candia T.
Yeah, it ends with a T, with the letter T here.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure what's up with that, but anyway, I take it that this is supposed to be maybe the first issue of a series. There's no issue number on it, or clear to be continued, but at the end of the story it feels like we're just kind of getting started. This has been the origin story, and now things are going to happen.
Yeah.
But it's apparently the future, and Quin is this young woman who is delivering things through time and space, and she has a way of traveling through space just like her body, basically. I'm not sure how she breathes out there, but maybe there does seem to be some kind of a field around her. And then she sees the traffic signs through this sort of monocle that looks like a jagged diamond that she has over one eye. And she does the job that she was paid to do, although she has to break some laws to do it. It turns out to be a rescue mission, although it doesn't seem like it at first. And then it turns out that she's recounting this in a job interview for the How delivery service, and she doesn't think she's going to get the job, but then she is hired, but they're also kind of operating on the edge of the law, and the cops are coming at the end, so they have to, all three of them, she and the two people from How Delivery are bugging out of there. And she at the end says, yes, this is going to be fun. It's very colorful, and I really like his kind of manga-y art, but not exactly. It's kind of hard for me to... it's a unique style, basically. I can't quite put my finger on a way to pigeonhole it. What did you think of this?
I like the colors. I like the square presentation. The super mini size was also kind of nice. I don't know, when I make a book, I'm drawing the pages much, much larger than what is printed here. And I always want to print larger. So something to make it a little bit more immersive. But even though this one is quite a small size, looks, I don't know, how much would you say that is? About
I had said 5 by 5, but I think it's a little less than that.
Yeah, it's like 4.5 by 4.
Yeah.
4 by 4.
Yeah.
Really small comic, but it also is kind of immersive. So it's not the size of the paper, but the content there within. But I quite liked this as well, and thought as a series it would be cool to make a bunch of books this size. Having a shelf full of books this size is like, this is my Quin, Reyes and How delivery book series. That would be cool. And there's a lot of play in it, and about the person flying through space with just their body and having a monocle. I don't know, it's kind of like trying to explain the internet to someone from the 70s or 80s. I mean, even 10 years before the internet, people are like, well, what? and how? And so, I mean, I don't think it's the future, and that's enough. Yeah. But I should say, compared to Longdog, and also compared to Yon Kuma, which we reviewed years ago.
Many years ago,
yeah. This one has a much more polished look.
Yes, it does.
It's full color. There are almost no rough edges anywhere in this comic. Like, you really put a lot of effort into it. So it would be nice to kind of see it go a little bit further than just this, even if it goes just like, I don't know, 90 pages or something like that, 120 pages. It'd be nice. I think this first issue is like 30 pages long, so just a couple more episodes would be nice.
You've also got a little pocket-sized sketchbook of Jorge's art, which is kind of a little bit of everything. Some apparently original characters, or like maybe sketching out stuff that appeared in other comics of his, but also some other characters like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Batman, Hulk. Some of it's color, some of it's black and white, some of it's just red lines. So yeah, it's kind of fun to look through.
Yeah, actually, when I follow him on Instagram, and Instagram, he's always putting up these cool little pictures. And I've said to him a couple of times, man, I would love an SF book, something with some of these sketches. Some of them are quite fantastic and really rich and just interesting. And he's like, oh yeah, I'm working on a little something. And I guess the Quin, Reyes was the one that he was working on when he said that. The style of some of these sketches is less manga and more European French comic style as well, sometimes.
The styles vary.
Yeah, but I mean, it's really, really interesting. You can see a kind of depth of the ability of the artist. And again, it's just a super small, maybe 5x4 comic,
if that even,
or book. And I love that it has a little strap to kind of lock down the pages.
Yeah, it's like hardcover and the bookmark strap.
Yeah, and also it doesn't have a title as much as it has a what do you call it? Embossing.
Yeah.
And that is a beautiful touch.
Not just his name and sketchbook, but also a little picture embossed.
Yeah. That embossing, sorry Jorge, but I'm going to steal that too. It's just too good, and it's too beautiful. That was a really, really beautiful sketchbook, and I'm really glad that I have it, and I'm really glad that you collected those pictures into a book. For me, out of all the stuff that we got today, that was the biggest surprise, and it was really, really nice. Longdog I'd seen before, and one of the others that we're going to review in a minute I'd also seen before. But the presentation in this and just having the sketches on paper is just really nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. Let's talk a little about Yon Kuma. Yeah, so we had, I can't remember how many years ago it was. It must have been at least 10.
Well, it says 2008 in the copyright.
Yeah,
so
okay.
Somewhere around there.
So, but at the time, I think we only saw the first chapter.
Yeah, I think so.
And this is the whole story, which they have just this year republished in a kind of hardcover book. Now, I was a little puzzled that, when we reviewed it the first time, we pointed out that Yon Kuma was not really very good Japanese. Mm-hmm. And so they changed the name to Bear Beater Bunyan, but they put this book out as Yon Kuma.
Well, actually, thinking about it now, Yon Kuma has a nice ring to it, and I don't care about the grammar anymore. I'm not that guy, I guess. But the title Bear Beater Bunyan sounds... It has kind of a rhythm to it, a bouncy rhythm, but Yon Kuma is a little bit more stylish in my mind. I'm not sure why they changed it back to Yon Kuma, but I kind of like Yon Kuma better.
So, and Yon Kuma, so Yon is 4, and Kuma is bear, or bears, and the main character, who's... last name is Bunyan. That's where the Bunyan comes from.
It's Paulson.
Or Bunyan is his first name.
Yeah, and Paulson is his...
Bunyan Paulson. That's yeah, okay. Not Paulson Bunyan.
Yeah.
Bunyan Paulson. Okay. And he is setting out to fight the 4 strongest bears. And yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see Jorge's work from a decade ago and compare it with Quin Reyes or something. And it still looks good.
Yeah.
A decade later.
Well, there's a level of consistency to his work where you can kind of feel everything move quickly and flow very nicely. But you can also see he put a lot of work into this. And he comments in the beginning of it, I don't want to misquote the man, but he says, "I love this comic. It represented my first major finished work, and I'm still amazed by the boldness of some of the choices young-ish Jorge took in some pages." And I have to agree. About age, I don't know, but 10 years ago, first comic, it's well done. And there are some bold things here, but there seems to be no obvious lesson that he learned on the page where you can look at it and go, yeah, he fucked up there. well, I guess he'll do better next time. There's none of that. I mean, it's all consistent and it's all well done. It is a nice book, and this is a deluxe version of that. So again, it has an embossed cover, just a little square in the top.
And Bunyan Paulson kind of carved in there, and also the words Yon Kuma in the corner in red.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a red foil stamp, and that's just gorgeous on a gray cover that has no other colors on it, and a yellow spine. It's a gorgeous book again, and I really, really like this. I'm really, really happy to have this on my shelf too.
By the way, we should mention that the writer for both Yon Kuma and Longdog was, I can never pronounce his name, Josh Heckinger, CH, but CH has many different pronunciations. Heckinger, I guess, is what I usually read it as. And I guess in between the two, they hadn't done anything together, but they kind of re-teamed up for Longdog.
Yeah, no, I actually like the writing a lot as well. Both the jokes in Yon Kuma and the jokes in Longdog kind of match the style of Jorge's drawing, and I think they make a good team. Yeah. But essentially, we do have man in forest fighting something for both of these.
Yeah, they do have that in common.
I wonder if we're going to get any science fiction from Jorge and Josh anytime soon.
Also, we have here a book called Sea, as in ocean, which apparently Jorge wrote and drew. And this is interesting to look at because the style is a bit different and sort of a lot more like cross-hatching and a more kind of reflective tone to the story. And it's the kind of thing where you get to the end and then you see kind of the reveal at the end, and then you feel like you need to read the whole thing again to get the deeper meaning in it.
I read it twice, just like that. Yeah. It's a very, very short read, but and very few words, but goddamn, that reveal kind of fucked me up, and it made me think, oh, geez, Jorge, what happened? Are you okay? I hope this is not your story. I hope this is the story of someone else. But it is quite a beautiful comic. Again, and very much a surprise, but I'm very happy to have this on my shelf as well.
Yeah. I noticed that he uses one word which I looked it up. I think he's adapting a Spanish word into English.
What is that?
Embragiating.
Embragiating.
And I believe what we would normally say in English is intoxicating. Because I found that embriagate, embriagate, although it's probably not a silent E. Embragiate, I don't know, Spanish. English, get drunk.
Okay.
So, intoxicating would probably be the right word here.
Inebriate.
But he's talking about the sound of the ocean.
Okay.
So, intoxicating fits better rather than inebriating.
I don't know. I like the cultural aspect of that change. I can't even call it a mistake. I would just say it is what it needs to be. And it shows more of the artist.
Right. Well, even not knowing what it was supposed to mean, I kind of got the gist anyway.
Yeah.
Before I looked it up. So, yeah, I wonder how this is available. Is he selling these on his website or something?
Well, I know that he was making this before he went up to Washington, D.C. for SPX. I don't know or don't remember if he sold out of all of this stuff, and I don't know if that was it for his run on these books. But I would say if you got some at SPX, you did well. And if you didn't get some, hit him up and try and get some of this stuff, because it is fucking gold. At least to me. I really do appreciate these books. From the roughness of the print version of Longdog to C and Quin, Reyes and the sketchbook and Yon Kuma. Sorry, that's like all the books, but
you're not leaving anything out.
Yeah, I've liked each of these books for different reasons, and it's a really good collection of his work, and makes me look very much forward to what he's going to produce next. Yeah,
these are good.
Coming up, an art exhibit called Illustrating Batman. First, thanks to all our supporters at patreon.com/deconcomics, more classic episodes of Deconstructing Comics have been unlocked, and I'm releasing them at the rate of one per week in reverse order. This week I'll be republishing episode 86, in which Brandon and I talk about Past Lies, a graphic novel by Christina Weir, Star Wars Panel to Panel, She-Hulk 19, and Magician Apprentice. The classic episodes can be found on our Facebook and Twitter feeds by clicking on the earliest months listed on the left sidebar at deconstructingcomics.com or in publicly available posts on our Patreon page. Thanks to patron Rum Raven for increasing his pledge. Classic episodes have now been unlocked back to episode 46. Check out all our goals and help us reach them at patreon.com/deconcomics.
You like cheap comic books, right? Well, I'm Professor Allen, and I talk about cheap comic books on the Quarterbin podcast. In every episode, I'll dissect a single comic from my collection, as long as I paid no more than 25 cents for the issue. Forget about $4 new comics that you can read in 4 minutes, or crossover events that can cost $100 to collect. Join me in the Quarterbin, where even bad comics are a bargain, and good ones are a steal. The Quarterbin podcast is part of the Relatively Geeky Podcast Network. Visit us at relativelygeekypodcast.blogspot.com or search Relatively Geeky or Quarterbin Podcast in iTunes. I guarantee it'll be worth every penny.
So Mulele also has here, this is what, is this a program for this art exhibit, Illustrating Batman, 80 Years of Comics and Pop Culture, that was held in New York.
Yeah.
And he took a lot of photos of exhibits, which I'll try to make available somehow.
Actually, this was it was quite serendipitous that I actually found this. I was on the train, went the wrong way, and trying to walk back through Central Park, I happened upon, just by chance, I had no idea where it was, the Society of Illustrators Gallery in New York. Just looked over, and there's Batman looking back at me. I had to go in. And for about $15, I went in, and for the next 2 hours, photographed every picture of original Batman art that they had. And it was amazing. And part of what I could see, and I'm sure there'll be some aficionado out there that will want to correct me, and if you know the real story, please do tell me. But from what I could see, that some of the earlier work was a little bit rougher around the edges. And I had always heard, and I had assumed to be true, that the artists who were making comics back in the day, 1940s, were actually painters who were doing like illustration jobs. It's not a passion project. It's not their dream job. It's the job that paid the bills. Instead of some of their more some of their grander work or personal work. And so you could see where they kind of cut corners on the illustration, didn't worry so much about this, that, or the other thing, just had to kind of push it out. And you kind of see they're not too careful with it. It's not romanticized as heavily as the stuff from the 60s, maybe 70s onward. But the 200-something photographs that I took of this, it was an extensive thing. Basically went from 1939 all the way up to present day, and it even had a section on bat manga.
Yeah, the bat manga and also the newspaper strip, both of which have been discussed on To the Bat Poles in the past couple of years.
Yeah, the bat manga one is from 1960s Japan. All of this was original art, by the way. None of it was reprints. And the bat manga stuff, sorry to say, I wasn't really interested in it. It was kind of quaint and kind of curious, but not something that I really wanted to have as like a picture to learn from. Whereas the American Batman stuff, every picture had something to teach me. Something that I wanted to know about either printing techniques or illustration technique or just the process of comics over the years. There was a wealth of information there. This exhibit went on until the 12th of October, so it's already done as of this recording. But I was so impressed that it kind of doesn't matter what they have. Next time I'm in New York, I'm going there to the Society of Illustrators Gallery, and I'm going to see what they've got.
So, can you give some example, like what kind of things were you learning from looking at this original art?
More about how, when you're looking at the printed comic, you can see the picture as a finished piece. But looking at the page, you can kind of see the erase marks, the bits of pencil that were left over, the lines of construction, the thought process. You can see much more clearly in the original artwork, and you can see how they use space or what they were going for just a little bit more. I don't know how to explain it exactly, but I just. And this is part of the reason why I took all those pictures is because I could feel or see or discern somehow that there was something that he was going for, the artist was going for, that I could use to my advantage in my own work. There were a couple of things that were just kind of curious, though, like the Frank Miller one that we looked at earlier, which Robin's right leg is kind of crooked, and it's kind of like, well, I guess he's famous, but goddamn. Yeah, the rest of it. Oh, and I should say, the Frank Miller picture also was not drawn on Bristol. It seemed to be drawn on some kind of washi, some kind of Japanese paper, and it bled. And so the line work is kind of fuzzy. It's real weird, but it's usually the opposite of what comic book artists are going for in the States. No fuzzy bits. The line work is supposed to be crisp and clear, but Frank Miller, I don't know, maybe he was on drugs when he was doing it. And to be honest, I don't know what drugs Frank Miller has or has not done, but goddamn if he doesn't look like he's done drugs, like all the drugs. And some of those pictures look like kind of drug induced anyway.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with those photos, but I'll fill it in at the end of the show. Do we have anything else to talk about?
For these set of books, not really. I guess maybe if we can give Jorge's website and
Right. JorgeFMunoz.tumblr.com
Yeah.
or JorgeFMunoz.com.
yeah. Go check out his work, and on his website, if you can find that he's selling any of this stuff, it's all worth getting.
Mulele's photos of the Batman exhibit are linked from the show notes. Critiquing Comics is going to be off for a few weeks while Mulele and I prepare an episode of Deconstructing Comics. And of course our Patreon-only show, Tim Catches Up with the MCU, available for $4 a month at patreon.com/deconcomics. Last weekend we released our review of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. If you've made a comic and you were thinking of sending it to us to critique, now is the time. Help us build up a nice queue of books to come back to in a few weeks. Send a PDF or a link to mail@deconstructingcomics.com. We'll read at least 30 pages of it and critique it on the show. Can you think of one person you know who would enjoy what we're doing on Deconstructing Comics and Critiquing Comics? Send that person a text message right now and let them know about our show. Thanks. Our theme is from bensound.com. Next week on Deconstructing Comics, Emmett interviews Fionnuala Doran, creator of The Trial of Roger Casement. Till then, this is Tim, and thanks for listening to Critiquing Comics.